Today we're going to talk about optimization of Google local service ads for water damage restoration. Part 1 was episode 27, one episode before this. So if you haven't watched part 1 or listened to part 1, go ahead back and do that. Today is all about optimization and tricks to restart your Google local services ads or improve the performance of them.
This isn't just any podcast. This is your secret weapon for dominating the market.
This is the Restoration Marketing Secrets Podcast, and this is your host, Sean McMeen.
Welcome to episode 28 of Restoration Marketing Secrets. I am your host, Sean McMeen, and today is all about optimizing Google local service ads for water damage restoration. Episode 27, the top part before, as I said in the little teaser there, was all about setup of it. Now let's talk about optimization and things that we encounter that will help you evaluate the success of the campaign or not. Here's what I will start with. The reality of the situation is Google doesn't give you much information about what will make your campaign work better or not. But I'm going to share some tips with you by managing. We manage well over 100 different profiles and probably has been 200 or more over the years. Google local services mainly got, really in 2023 got some traction, and 2022 as well. But, profiles do get suspended if Google Maps profiles get suspended, and so those come and go. But what I'll talk about today is about the optimization. Okay, so you've set up your Google local service profile. You're not getting much results from it. Why is that? The number one place I would go to is go out to Google local services, search in the area that you're trying to promote, and look and see who is showing and reverse engineer it. So if you are in Chicago and you're searching for water damage restoration, go up at the top, see what the 3 profiles are up there, and what is different about their profile versus your profile. Now, don't click on their thing, don't click on their ad, click on the more, and you can see all their profiles, and then you can look at the actual details of the Google local service ads, and you're going to see many of the settings they have set. You're going to see the images they have. You're going to see the services they provide. And most important thing you want to look at is the number of reviews associated with that profile. If the number of reviews associated with the ones that are showing are around the same number, and you have 10 reviews and they have 100, ding, 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 that's the red flag there. That's the red flag that you have to get more reviews. Now, it doesn't mean you have to get 100. But you have to be getting consistent reviews on that profile, on your Google Maps profile, that are trickling in every day, every other day, every week, and so that you're constantly providing those positive signals. The other thing is that, so related to reviews, you can do reviews 2 different ways, and I kind of alluded to this on the part 1 of this series here, is that Google local services gives you a review link, and those reviews don't necessarily get posted to your Google Maps profile. But if you get a Google review on your Google Maps profile, it does filter down towards Google local services. So your thinking might be like, well, I'll just go after Google Maps, right? It makes sense. I'll get both best of both worlds. Sometimes we've tested it where you just go and get some reviews from the Google local service side, and that jumpstarts the campaigns. So keep that in mind on the reviews. But at the end of the day, if you go out there and search and you have 3 at the top that are 100, 75, 60, you're going to have to really double down on the amount of reviews that you're getting, that you're getting on your profile, because that's the only way you're going to have success. Not saying you need to get 100, because we have many instances where we have clients with 15, 20 reviews and competing right next to the people with 100 reviews. So Keep that in mind. Consistency is the key here. In everything you do in your business, consistency is the key, but it's knowing which to be consistent about is the key, right? Without trying to be consistent across everything. And that's not going to happen. You don't have enough time in the day or enough resources. So reviews is the first place that I would look. Then look at the profile by searching the terms that the services that you're advertising for on Google Local Services and see what your competitors' profiles are set up as. The other thing is I was looking at the profile itself. You went through the setup, and if you listen to part 1 of this, episode 27, you'll know about all the settings, but go into the settings of the profile and make sure, number 1, the ad is turned on. I see a lot of times that people just turn it off and forgot to turn it on. Number 2, make sure all your verifications are done. If they're not done, you're not going to get leads from it. So you've got to do the insurance verification. You've got to do the contractor or IICRC, or if you're roofing, you have to do the roofing verification. If you're doing home remodeling, you got to do the contractor license. You can do all of those services in one, and I know this is mainly about water damage restoration, but you can put all those services as long as you do the business verification with the insurance verification and the background check. All of those things have to be done, or you're not going to get the best out of your profile. The next thing is go into your profile where it shows you right underneath the top section under profile and budget. You'll see where you can set business bio settings, and you can do multiple. So there's COVID-19 settings. I recommend you fill those out. Anytime Google gives you the option to fill something out, fill it out. So COVID-19 settings for water damage restoration, put accept on-site jobs, accepting urgent jobs, put health and safety, put protective gear used, put curbside service, put discount on some services, and financing options available. No cancellation fee. Like you can have, I believe, up to 8 in that setting. And then go down to the business bio setting, and it's going to give you up to 6 options that you can select. Typically what you're kind of looking at is we manage insurance claims, you're IICRC certified, you're locally owned and operated, family owned and operated if you want. It's just a variation of those. You can look at your competitors and do some sort of analysis to see what they're selecting, the ones that are at the top, not the ones at the bottom, the ones that they're selecting. You can select 24 emergency services, free estimates, free consultation, and if you have a BBB accreditation, you can get additional verification for that. You just need to call Google support for local services and show them the link that you are BBB certified and which rating you are. So are you accredited A rating, accredited A plus rated, or you just BBA rated, BBA plus rated, and Google will apply that to your profile on there. Now, that's just the business settings side of things. Now you want to look at your job types. If you go into job types, if you go into water damage restoration, so you go in there and you say, yeah, we do mold removal, but we don't do mold inspection. Well, that doesn't make sense because the homeowner is going to search for different terms. Put mold inspection on there, but vet out the call when they call you. And that's an important aspect of all of this is when somebody calls you, ideally you have a tracking system in place that alerts you saying this is a Google local service ad. You want to make sure you ask more questions and vet that out, and don't just collect that information. If you have a answering service answering your calls, make sure they vet that out and have clear signals that allow them to reject that call and not a qualified job. Mold is a perfect example. Like if you're going to go after mold stuff, vet those out much more. Don't pay for the calls that you can't help these people out, or they're just looking for a cash job and they don't have the money to do it, right? It's not like water where you get out there and they're probably going to go with you if they can trust you, right? In water damage services, there's also the option for plumbing. Check that off. You're not going to do plumbing fixture installation and stuff like that, but If they call about a leak, that's going to show up under that. There's an option for other. Check that off. That's perfect. You have some remodeling options in there. If you're not doing restoration, don't do the remodeling. But if you are, check that off, because you never know what a homeowner is going to search. You can vet that call out and make sure that it gets you before you actually collect the information that they're the right fit, or that's the type of job you want to do. And if it's not, clearly say, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to help you out with that. All right, so that's the job types. Again, we've talked about budget before during the setup call. Go back and look at episode 27 about that and about some tips about optimizing that budget on there. There is a setting in there about messaging leads. Here's the thing that I would say is, if you have messaging leads turned on, you need to make sure that you have the app downloaded on your phone. It's a Google Local Services app, and any member that should be answering phone calls or on call or anything like that has that app on their phone, so they get an alert if a messaging lead comes in. Typically, it's supposed to email you, but doesn't always happen. So make sure you have that set up in there. Also, a tip on these service areas. So you set your original services areas and you're not getting much traction with your Google Local Service account. So widen that service area a little bit more, and just to kind of jumpstart it. Now, when that call comes in, and if it's totally out of your service area, then just reject the call, saying it's not in our service area, it's not something we can help you out with. But if it's a water damage call and it's a little bit outside of your service area, take the job, right? It's kind of a no-brainer type thing there. For water damage restoration, I typically recommend having your business hours set at 24 hours for sure. And then the final piece here is photos. Make sure you're adding consistent photos of your job on your Google Google Local Services. These photos are different from Google Business Profile, so make sure you're adding that in there. All right, next thing. Let's see. Let's go back to the answering phone calls. Answer the phone call as you would any other call, but make sure you know that this is a Google Local Service call by putting in a tracking number, and it alerts you. I mentioned this before. It alerts you, so you know to vet these calls out much more strictly, because you can dispute them. How do you dispute them? By, number one, vetting the call out, saying you can't help that person, or if somebody's calling about a job, I'm sorry, we don't accept job applications. If some idiot clicked on your Google Local Service ads and looking for a job, they're an idiot. So don't entertain it. Say, I'm sorry, it's not something we can help you out with. If somebody calls about mold in their shower and it's not a job you think you can be profitable, and tell them that, hey, it's $350 charge if we come out there and take a look at it, right? Tell them we cannot accept. That's not a job we want. Then what happens is you have an app on your phone, or on the web version, you can go into that call specifically, and there's ability to dispute it. And when you go in there to dispute those calls, basically what you're going to do is you're going to give them a reason. This was somebody calling about a job that we don't service. This was out of our service area. This is a spam call. And Google's algorithm and their automated system will vet that out and reject it or accept it. And if they accept it, they're going to give you credit. Those credits are great because it helps lower the overall cost. If their system, if you have a legit reason to dispute it because somebody called in about an employment opportunity and you said that, and Google came back and said, we're rejecting your dispute, then open a support ticket with them or call them to get that credit back on your account. And this will overall drive down the lead costs of their Google Local Services. All right, so that's it for today's episode about optimizing Google Local Service ads for water damage restoration and home services, including roofing, home remodeling, general contractors, those types of things. All this kind of applies, mainly focused on water damage restoration, but all of this really applies to those categories as well. So if you have any additional questions in the future, feel free to reach out to us at restorationmarketing.com, and we would happily help you out. For now, this is Sean McMeen with Restoration Marketing Secrets Podcast. I will talk to you on the next episode.
You've been listening to the Restoration Marketing Secrets Podcast. Sean's not here to just talk the talk. He's walked the walk. With a track record of helping over 70 damage restoration companies and engaging in over 500 conversations with industry owners, he's seen it all. From digital marketing triumphs to the most ingenious growth hacks, he's got the keys to the kingdom, and he's sharing them with you. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, for more, hit the website at restorationmarketing.com. See you next time on the Restoration Marketing Secrets Podcast.